Human trafficking encompasses both sex trafficking and labor trafficking. It affects men and women of all ages, races, and social status. It's a $150 billion illegal industry worldwide. The FBI considers sex trafficking to be the fastest growing organized crime. It's estimated 18,000 people were trafficked in the U.S. in 2015. Half were children, 75% trafficked into the sex trade. In Indiana last year, nearly 200 cases of underage sex trafficking were reported to one service provider alone. On any given day, hundreds of children are being advertised for sex online in just 10 Indiana cities. 25 to 40 of those are in Fort Wayne. The numbers can be staggering, but stopping human trafficking starts with acknowledging that it's happening here, and it's happening now.
It's here, just people don't notice it.
We see it on a regular basis.
Fort Wayne, Indiana, shocked me.
It can happen to anybody, any race, any religion, any gender.
We don't think it's here. We think it's third world underdeveloped countries, and that's not true at all. It's here in Indiana, it's Fort Wayne, Huntington.
If you allow yourself to be educated and you open your eyes and understand what trafficking really looks like, then you'll never be able to deny it again.
Last year, the Fort Wayne Police Department investigated 15 cases of sex trafficking. 11 victims in those cases, 23 people arrested. In a joint operation with the FBI, the department also helped rescue 3 more underage girls from sex trafficking. What do those numbers say to you?
I think it's surprising, and also that it's probably something that's even bigger than what we even realize. Probably just really the tip of the iceberg.
Our numbers on human trafficking are probably well under what they really are because we don't really know.
How big a problem is human trafficking in Northeast Indiana?
It's one of our largest, fastest growing crimes. The one thing that our investigators are finding is that gangs are now realizing that they can sell a drug once, but they can sell a child 3 or 4 times in a day.
Not all, but most sex trafficking involves women or girls forced into prostitution or pornography.
We have a lot of local pimps that live right here in Fort Wayne. And, you know, we use the word pimp, and everybody, they picture, you know, leisure suits and big puffy hats. It's anybody. It's just a businessman, is all it is.
The FBI's been targeting sex trafficking in Fort Wayne for the last 3 years, working undercover operations to try to help girls get out and take down the traffickers.
I can guarantee there is no hotel in Fort Wayne that we have not been to or had an operation in. It'll happen everywhere and anywhere. At the beginning of last year, over the course of a month, we started working into 4 different cases of human trafficking. So in the span of 3 months, we had 8 girls that we were dealing with, and they were all underage.
It can start many different ways. Girls often groomed over social media. Traffickers make them feel special and wanted, will even buy dinners and presents.
And then all of a sudden, hey, you've got to do this for me. And then when she doesn't, he either beats her or has somebody else beat her. And then she's so afraid for her life that she doesn't really have an option. And some women, it's very difficult for them to get out of that.
You know, they will find ways to manipulate you and brainwash you into thinking that you're the girlfriend, you're more important than the other girls, this is just how it is. Using other girls to say, hey, I've been doing this for X number of years, it's really not that big a deal.
One Fort Wayne case involved a teenager who ran away from home. She put on Facebook she needed a ride. Within 6 hours of getting picked up, she was prostituting.
Prostituted with 3 people until they met with us when we finally were able to stop it, and we got on it quickly. I mean, it was that next morning we saw it and we acted on it. As fast as we saw those pictures, we thought, she's underage, we need to get her like now. So we were the first date for the morning, so we stopped it quickly.
How misunderstood is sex trafficking?
I think the perception is most women want to be doing what they're doing.
I could tell you I've talked to all of them, and none of them wanted to do this, but they got stuck.
Posts advertising girls can be found all over the internet. One of the more popular sites, Backpage, was recently censored by the government.
It's a good message to bring awareness, which is obviously why a lot of things have been upticking, is there's a lot more awareness in human trafficking. So it is a nice thing to bring awareness, and maybe in the end, it'll bring up more support.
But awareness starts in the community, and everyone acknowledging when something doesn't seem right.
People look at it and say, oh, that doesn't seem right, but then they cast it off because they're busy with what their day is, so they don't realize what they just saw.
Do they have hotel keys? Do they have an excessive amount of money? Who are they with? Are they hanging with people that appear too old to be their boyfriend or girlfriend, but too young to be a parent? Other things like, how do they behave around them? Are they really open and honest about what's going on? Or are they very guarded in what they talk to you about? If that person is around and you ask them what they did today and they can't tell you without asking for permission, there's a problem there.
Every Thursday this month, we will continue our series showing you ways you can protect your children, the hidden pitfalls of social media, and the challenges law enforcement can face combating sex trafficking. Next Thursday is Katie Roche's story. She was forced into sex trafficking when she was only 8. Now a survivor, she shares her story of a long journey of healing and a message to girls trapped in the sex trade right now. Now, if you think you've seen sex trafficking, or if you're in a situation now and you need help, here's the number to call. The free national hotline is 888-373-7888. You can also call your local police. And right now on Wayne.com, we also have a list of resources for you, warning signs and red flags, so you can spot human trafficking and try to stop it.
15 Finds Out investigator Alyssa Ivanson is exposing the problem and joins us with why it's important for you to know. Alyssa.
Well, this all started with a tip to us from a police officer. He's concerned there doesn't seem to be a real deterrent to stop someone from illegal activity at the airport in the middle of the night when no one is really around. So we wanted to see for ourselves. Since June, we've made several overnight trips to the terminal, and we went places you cannot go during the day. The typical sounds.
Your attention, please.
And sights of the Fort Wayne International Airport are much different in the middle of the night. And the rules during the day. I have to have a ticket to be able to get up to the body scanner, right?
Right.
Are like passengers during the day allowed to be back here behind the ticket counter?
Usually no.
We do have to leave?
Could you just step outside though?
Seem to be different at night too. I could go all the way up to that. Are you aware that we were out here in the middle of the night for an hour? We roamed around.
No, nobody ever told me that, but that's okay.
The last commercial flight into the Fort Wayne Airport usually lands around midnight, and the ticket counters for the first flights in the morning don't open until 4 a.m. That leaves several hours where the terminal is open and practically empty.
We are a 24-hour airport. Our terminal building does stay open to help those who either come in late and they don't have a ride yet, they're waiting. We don't want to put them out on the street.
15 Finds Out went in at 2 a.m. For an hour, we roamed the airport. We could go behind the airline ticket counters up to all the TSA equipment. The security gate is behind the scanners. The cookie drawers in the visitor center were unlocked. Even some keys were within reach in the taxi booth. All the baggage claim conveyor belts did have the metal gates pulled down behind the flaps. The door up to the airport authority was open, but the main office door was locked. We did try to open the doors that were marked no trespassing, unauthorized persons will be prosecuted, and they were all locked as well. While we saw the cameras in the ceiling, we never saw a security guard, and no one stopped us to ask what we were doing. The staircase to the airport authorities open. We showed our trek through the terminal to Director of Airports, Scott Hinderman. So is any of that concerning to you?
Not at all. I think it worked perfectly. You guys came and you walked around our public building. You did a very nice job. You got absolutely nowhere where you were not supposed to be. I'm pleased. I'm very pleased with what you guys were able to do and where you couldn't go. The areas that we had to protect, you were unable to get to. So from the footage that you showed me, our system's working excellent.
So it's not a concern that I could just walk up and push over security stuff?
That's the TSA. Anything that's related to the TSA, you would have to go visit with the TSA, or if you did something and the camera catches you, well, they would handle that. That's not the airport authority's equipment.
What about like the ticket counter area, the computers there, the phones there?
There's not going to be a safety issue. You cannot get to the airfield. And if you did something wrong, we would have been notified through our access control system, and we would have took appropriate actions. If you want to go by the ticket counter or play with the airline's computers, those are the airline's computers, and they're not the airport's.
Hinderman explained the TSA and airlines lease space from the airport, similar to a store in a mall. While the airport authority is in charge of airport security, it's up to the TSA or airlines for how they want to secure their property.
The areas that we are supposed to be protecting to make sure we comply with regulations, we're protected. And I welcome you to come back. If that's what you wish to do, our building is open.
So we did, a few months later, this time with notes that said to call 15 Finds Out if found. A photographer not wearing any Wayne TV logos went in to place the Post-its. While Jake was inside the airport, I stayed out here in the parking lot, and at 1:22 a.m. I saw an SUV marked with police on the side drive right by on the Circle Drive in front of the airport, but inside, Jake never saw a police officer. After Jake was finished, we shot video of the tarmac and saw the security officer out there. He even drove off with his lights on, but again, never talked to us.
We found several Post-its throughout the building. They were kind of hidden. We actually found them within an hour or so after you were there because we watched you put them throughout the building.
Why didn't you stop us while we were putting them around?
Well, you're doing your investigation, and we're going to let you do it. You guys entered the building about 3 minutes after we had stepped out of the building. We drove in front of the airport terminal building, and then we sat out on the ramp in a squad car and watched you guys, what you were doing. We also knew what you were doing, so we knew you weren't going to be a bad person doing something. But yes, we had you. We were following you throughout the terminal building.
So to be stuck up top there. When we went back to check where all the notes were left, all 10 were gone. Yep, no Post-it. One of the Post-its was under the table where you get your carry-on items after you go through security. It was past the body scanners and metal detectors. You're saying if somebody were to put something where our Post-it was in TSA, TSA would have found it before the passengers were coming through?
I'm saying that it is screened and scanned, and all the areas are inspected prior to the operation of screening passengers.
Should the garage door be in front of the TSA security equipment overnight so nobody can even touch their equipment all night?
There's nothing that would violate security if you touch their equipment. They calibrate it every morning before they start doing it. So I don't believe that that is an issue. The TSA is very involved when we did the project of putting that screen security door in.
We reached out to the TSA and got a statement saying in part, while TSA equipment is accessible after hours, the area is patrolled by the Public Safety Division and monitored by CCTV. Anyone attempting to vandalize or damage our equipment would be caught. We have complete confidence in the safety and security of the Fort Wayne International Airport.
I think you gave them a very good penetration test.
Jeff Slotnick is president of the risk consultant firm Cetricon. He says while we may not always see the security sees us.
You're never really undetected. You know, there are plenty of airport physical security systems that are recording your every movement and watching exactly what it is that you do. With technology today, that information can even be communicated remotely to someone's iPad or a monitor in a remote location that you may not be aware of.
Hinderman wouldn't give any specifics about the airport security plan, but he did say the airport police officer makes rounds across the airfield and tarmac to not just the terminal building, and that rotation is always changing so no one can pick up a pattern. Is the airport secure overnight?
I think the airport authority is extremely secure. We didn't test the system in the fact of trying to do anything illegal, but it's comforting to know that our technology actually worked. We got alerts that you were in the building, and we were able to follow things on camera where we could make sure that if you were a bad guy, we could actually take corrective action.
Now you can watch extended video of our overnight trips to the airport right now on Wayne.com. We do want to note FWA has passed both TSA and Federal Aviation Administration inspections with zero discrepancies every year for the last 3 years. Now, Brett and Heather, we also wanted to know, how does Fort Wayne compare to other airports? So we called 25 similar-sized airports all across the country. They're all here on the map. The ones in green stay open all night long, and 8 of them, the ones in red, close overnight. Now tomorrow we'll travel to some of those airports and show you the difference of those that close and the ones that stay open, see if they have the same access that we had here in Fort Wayne.